You're watching the Chaos Protocol on Transplanar RPG, an all-transgender, people of color-led dark fantasy TTRPG show set in an original non-colonial, anti-Orientalist multiverse. If you like what you see, please consider pledging to our Patreon to support the show and get access to a patron-only after-show, early podcast episodes, GM notes, character sheets, and even the chance for your tabletop OC to cameo in our series. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. The Chaos Protocol is a dark fantasy series that may contain content that is triggering for some viewers. Content warnings for this episode include heights, fire, complex and complicated relationships, flying, falling, romance, flirting, grief, trauma, death of loved ones, nightmares, dissociation, and references to sex. Arc 2, Episode 14, Through Darkest Night. From Carved Inside an Empty Urn, by Connie Chong. In the western reaches of the City of Heaven, the sound of the White Forge can be heard before it is even seen. A dutiful, ever-resonant clanging. Or rather, the sound would be heard if the city weren't empty and the forge were actually being attended to. Instead, you take in the forge through sight alone. A bright, smoldering red smear drilled into the side of a mighty mountain. Smoke, gutters from vents chiseled out of gray stone. Rocky terraces glistening with rich ores and minerals wind their way all the way up to the White Forge itself at the peak, where a massive furnace pulses with radiant heat. A river flows out of the forge's mouth, spilling over the edge of the mountain into a pool hundreds of feet below as a thundering waterfall. Xainan and Seir, you stand at the bottom of this quarry. Yes, quarry, that's what this is. The White Forge is a glowing molten dot high above your heads. In front of you are a series of terraced switchbacks, glistening with minerals, ore, and jewels. Brother Goose stands at your feet, ruffling his feathers, kicking up dust around your boots. How do the two of you proceed?
Xainan is still chewing on some of the food from the market and has been handing, I think at some point he snapped off a branch and has just been like giving Brother Goose leaves as they've walked, and he hands another leaf off to Brother Goose while still chewing. It looks up to Seir and then looks up. Just like being back at Trans, isn't it?
Seir has scoffed down his 5th meat bao bun. It takes the edge off. It doesn't. His hunger pangs are not taking up his entire attention, but it still lingers, as if the food doesn't really settle quite yet. And as he dusts his hands off and looks up at the forge, he just goes, "Yeah, it's kind of uncanny." And he looks at the state of the quarry and the height we have yet to traverse. And I think there's an instinct where Seir goes up to the wall, the cliff face of this mountain, to see how scalable it is.
It is definitely very scalable, and there are switchbacks, essentially, that form the terraces where the ores glisten from, so you can basically walk you're very slowly but steadily all the way up to the apex.
Also, it's like a little narrow sort of like...
Yes, exactly. Like a narrow path, yes. But you see kind of abandoned mine carts and big baskets and pouches full of mined raw gems, uncut jewels, and pieces of ore that have been mined.
Seir kind of mutters, I really hope no one was stuck in the mines when everything happened.
Well, they're not here now.
Suppose so.
Let's
I think...
go see.
Yeah, is there rope nearby, Connie?
Sure, yes. Let's say you find all kinds of tools nearby, miner's tools. You see rope, you see chains, you see shovels and pickaxes, carts, satchels, whatnot.
Just like in the Wild Sea, Seir picks up a mound of thick rope, ties one around his waist, and goes over to Xainan, and he looks Xainan. And there's a moment of hesitance, nervousness from this young boy, and they kind of hold up and say, "Can I, just in case, I
Sure.
don't want you to slip."
And
He
as
ties
Xainan
a
says that,
lifeline.
he's reached into his belt and is holding that knife, the one that in the Wild Sea was dust and salt, and here it's just a knife, a curved karambit blade that he holds very familiarly in his hand.
He ties that lifeline to you like it's the most precious thing in the world. And as he tightens that knot, he says, "All right, upwards."
Let's go.
We climb up. Oh, Goose.
Goose flutters. If you were to try to tie Goose, he would dodge, break your ankles. So he flutters with his feathers and then like gets up onto the first layer of the switchback and starts like waddling his way up the winding path.
Well, he's comfortable.
So, and Xainan starts to walk. And you can see that he keeps that blade with the hook ready in his backhand, so that should anything happen, he can just dig into the cliffside. But there's no threat or menace in it. He's just holding it and walking. And I think he insists on walking in front. No
Seir
like menace
agrees.
to it. He just starts walking first. So, what happened in the fight?
Seir pauses for a moment. I don't know. The mess kind of came. I was like right next to you all, and then I wasn't. And I thought I heard Lumièra. I thought I heard you, and then those stone lines.
Scare you? You made a sound.
Seir's silent. Not scared. We were ambushed, and I didn't know where either of you were, and
It's all right. It was a chaotic situation.
yes, exactly. Seir takes that lifeline. I couldn't find either of you, and he decides to change the topic again into a discussion about hunting. What Xiaocheng said about the missing gods. 3 assailants.
Yeah.
2 stone lions. Okay.
And if the third one is Harping, I have to admit I'm a bit concerned.
Do you think the mist did that to them, or if this is a planned thing?
I don't know. I'm hoping, and he looks up the cliffside, hoping something around here's got answers.
Yeah.
But well, I just wanted to make sure you're all right. And there's a honesty to this. The steeliness that he had when he had returned, that conversation in the hallway where he pretended that he didn't hear. He did hear that Seir was talking himself up. And Xainan softens in a way that he hasn't since the Wild Sea, since sitting in the Manticrore's nest. You're all right. Right?
Seir He sees that. He sees that vulnerability, maybe a reminder of the man he looked up to, who sat on the crow's nest with him as he broke. The one who advised him when Oregnus was hunting us down. The elder hunter. And he kind of begins fidgeting against the hem of his sash across his body. I think so. And he puts the mask back on. This is overwhelming, and I'm worried about you and Lumièra. I don't want to be separated like that ever again from either of you.
Of course not.
Hando's right. We must stick together. We're stronger together. And there's a plea in there, a plea of every flash of conflict between Lumièra and you.
And Xainan hears this plea. I think he's unwilling to hear that it's about Lumièra, because all he hears is an empty hall of heroes that he still hasn't visited. He hears all the places that he knows he wasn't there. He hears the emptiness that he left behind. And he actually stops, looks over his shoulder just for an instant. We gotta stay together. And he tugs on the rope a little, not in a way to offset Seir's balance, but just like a rope. Like this.
Yeah, exactly like this. And Seir observes Xainan's back and the footprints he leaves in the dirt as we climb up. And whether he knows it or not, places his own feet in them, hoping for an avenue or an opening. But he waits for the white stone of the forge to greet us. Maybe then we can speak.
I have a wretched question for you.
Oh no.
With your mask, how heavy do you walk? Do you walk like her?
Of course he does. He knows exactly the way her feet plants into the dirt. The lithe, agile, dexterous movements. Seir walks like an anchor. He's there to keep stock of everyone and everything. Sing walks like she's on clouds.
He leads his mentee up the mountain.
Lumièra. On the highest peaks of the City of Heaven, spread across 8 mountain tops and connected by bridges, bathed in the spray of floating waterfalls, are the shining buildings of the Vermilion Library. Ruby pillars blaze like columns of fire, supporting multi-tiered roofs of breathtaking crimson. Clouds swaddle the solid granite that supports the library's breathtaking sprawl. Up here, the entire City of Heaven is visible, from the golden heart of the royal palace to the dark expanse of the Black River. Reaching the Vermilion Library is no hard task for most of the city's denizens, but for those ungifted with flight, a wide ramp with a railing curls up the sides of the library's granite peaks. Lumièra, you stand at the base of the tallest peak, craning your neck to look up at that crimson speck upon its apex, which is the main building of the Vermilion Library. A dizzying journey on foot stretches out before you, ramp after ramp after ramp after ramp, carved into the side of this mighty mountain. Xiao Cheng stands next to you, looking completely unintimidated by the march to come. Probably because they don't need to march. Like most of the gods of the City of Heaven, Xiao Cheng can fly. You've seen it with your own 2 eyes. And in fact, they hop up onto the railing that prevents you from toppling down into the lower layers of the city, and they step off onto the air, where they levitate. And they turn to you. Oh, what are you waiting for, Lumièra? Let's fly up there.
Lumièra is still awestruck by this magnificent. This is the most beautiful library I have ever seen.
Isn't it? Yan Zhiling truly knows how to curate a selection.
This is what I call a living, breathing monument to knowledge. This is respect for what is held within its walls. Infinite curiosities.
I can see why the 2 of you get along so well, assumedly.
Lumièra cuts her eyes a bit at that, but continues, just ignores it and goes forward. However, she does stop for a second, reaching over. Xiao Cheng has seen her hand at this point and has stopped it from moving forward. So she is less self-conscious about hiding her hand around them at this point. And she pulls out her notebook that is strapped to her side pockets, and flips to about halfway, and flips the book upside down, opens the cover again from the front, and sprawled across in letters and glyphs and symbols that only someone with only the highest level clearance healers know this. Only highest level archivists know these symbols. There's no rhyme or form to them, but we are taught how to read them and in what direction we follow each symbol. And she rips out one page, then another, and another, before there are 6 pages at least that are ripped out of this notebook. And it looks as if the notebook has never lost the pages. Like when she rips them out, they reform and they are blank, like nothing was on them. And she summons the oracle with her left hand, her gilded fingertips setting as the base for it to spin around. And then she also flips the oracle upside down and whispers into the bottom of it, Elspeth, directly.
Oh, okay, yes, you got it. Wow, this is rather intimate.
Don't make this weird. And Lumièra crumples up each of the pages and drops it into the oracle.
I don't eat these, yes? You want me to just send these directly to Elspeth?
And Lumièra just looks at the oracle, like, you know the routine at this point. Like, be serious.
Okay. Can I have a nibble? Just one glyph.
I dropped 2, like, ball bearings into the top.
Directly
to Elspeth. No one else can see these.
The pages go through into the oracle as though they were an orange of holding right through the orb, and then there's kind of like a gurgling noise, and the oracle spins right side up again, so the stem is once more facing the top of their head.
Oh, done. Anything else I can help you with, Lumièra? Perhaps I can spin you upside down.
Hopefully that'll be happening later, but not from you. That is all. Thank you.
What was that?
And Lumièra dismisses the oracle as soon as she goes, "That's all, thank you." And the
They're
oracle's gone.
Xiao Cheng was watching all of this from the air. They are kind of lounging as though they're sitting on a chair, but there's no chair inside. And their hands are propped on their hips. Well, that was fascinating. But again, none of my business, so I shan't pry.
Good, because once again, this also is not. Please. And she on Lumièra like gestures for them to follow, to go up, and she'll follow behind them.
They start to float next to the ramp that you're walking physically on, and as they do, they're bobbing, still lounging like they're sitting on a chair. This journey would take at least a day on foot, even for a tough cultivator such as yourself. Oh, you must still be tired from your situation earlier. Would you like some help to fly up with me? It'll only take a few minutes to reach the apex.
You can assure that it is... Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Excellent. I hope you're good at balancing. And Xiao Cheng reaches into, almost like they're reaching for a pouch that doesn't exist by their side, but as they draw their hand out, a sword, a xian, a short sword with a double edge, glistens into existence. Shing! And it shimmers. It's a beautiful sword with an amethyst blade and a purple jade hilt, a simple but elegant crossguard, and a gem engraved in the pommel that shines with a bright purple hue, which is interesting given that the rest of Xiao Cheng's color and ensemble is greens and oranges, not purples. They gesture the sword in your direction and they let go of it, and it levitates in the air horizontally, the purple blade of it singing for a minute as they trace their finger over the edge. They gesture for you to step on top of it as though it were a hoverboard.
Well, I've seen weirder. And Lumièra will step out onto the sword and just kind of, she stumbles slightly a little bit before she's kind of able to find her balance, her center of gravity, and also kind of like bends her knees a bit, just a little bit, to kind of like absorb any type of movement. If you roller skate or skateboard or anything along the lines of that, you know exactly what I am doing, right? You know exactly what Lumièra is doing right now, finding her center of gravity, for sure.
Yes. Yes, as you step on it and you kind of like find your center of gravity, the sword is very stable, like it's solid earth underneath your feet. And it sings, it hums again as you get on top of it. And Xiao Cheng straightens up as though getting up from this invisible chair, and they say, "Oh, I think Zifeng likes you."
It's got a name.
Yes, Purple Wind.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It was a gift from the Emperor from a while ago. Let's go up.
Lumièra's eyebrow quirks at that, but since Xiao Cheng has been so nice at not prying further towards her and her inclination, she will let it ride.
Okay.
And keep going.
Zifeng ascends very quickly. At first you think you might get thrown off of it, but it's like your feet are glued to it. Like there's a resonance singing from the balls of your feet all the way up through to the core of your sternum, like it's tethering you there, like it's a snowboard, like you're strapped in, right? But through magic and soul binding. And as for Xiao Cheng, they kind of levitate and fly up next to you, and before you know it, the two of you have landed at the very top of the central building of the Vermilion Library. Zifeng kind of spins out from underneath your feet as you alight upon the grass, and then goes back into an unseen scabbard by Xiao Cheng's waist, but as they turn, the sword is gone. And their hair billows a little bit, right? The darker green on top fanning with the lighter green beneath as they land gracefully upon their feet. I love flying. How was that for you?
Actually, no notes. That was rather enjoyable.
Fun, right? maybe you could enchant a sword of your own to be a flying companion for you. I hear it's all the rage for cultivators nowadays.
Duly noted. I'll take a look into that. Thank you for your help.
You are very welcome. And they bow deeply at the waist, but not in like a mocking way, in a genuine way. And they straighten and turn to face the facade of this central building. It's beautiful. Huge ruby pillars support this massive gold-domed tiered roof. And there's no door. It just kind of opens into the hall. And you see walls made of stone and carved elegant dark wood, and this ramp made of pure granite sloping up toward the interior. You can see the atrium from here. There's some kind of glowing sculpture suspended in the center, but you're a little too far away to see the exact details. And the pathway leading into the library itself is lined by these ornate gardens with these beautiful sculptural elements, these rock pools with glistening puddles of water, and the ever-resounding roar of levitating waterfalls all around you.
I think Lumièra is just quite literally awestruck. Like, her eyes can't stop bouncing from ceiling to wall to floor to just like stepping off over to the side to try to see further back as far as she can see before she starts bouncing on the balls of her feet, like in anticipation. And it's just like, say one, say one, say one, say one, say one, be normal, be normal, be normal, be normal. Don't run in here right now, don't run in here right now. Wait for them to say something.
Lumièra, are you coming?
Darts! Pew! Just right. Like, all she needed was the go. And she just, there 1 second, just like smoke around her in her shape as she in the shape of
you
her
Looney
running.
Tunes. You Looney Tunes your way into the Vermilion Library. Excellent. On this Lumièra-shaped puff of dust in your wake, we push through the grit kicked up by your speeding heels. And we find Xainan and Seir finally climbing on foot to the apex of where the White Forge rests. The top of the mountain here is a lot less grand and ornate looking than the Vermilion Library. You see a very practical workspace. A empty kind of opening, a field almost in front of you, and then the entrance to a massive cave within which you see the workshop of the White Forge itself. And this landing that you've arrived on has a couple of patches of bright green grass here or there, heaps of raw ore, a big cart filled with glimmering gems, materials and tools scattered about. But the real bounty is inside the cavern itself. And inside the forge, you see a soot-covered but organized workspace. There are workbenches, racks and racks of tools, pieces of metal half-shaped into forms, anvils, grindstones, and at the very back of the forge, almost 100 feet away from you here at the apex of this mountain, ensconced in shadow, you see a beautiful, intricate, bright white furnace carved from pure diamond. Though no hand stokes it, and no weapons are being tempered within, the coals in its mouth are still glowing with a sweltering, skin-bursting heat you can feel from the entrance.
I like to imagine that Seir was chatting with Xainan now that the initial sort of he-him awkwardness dissipated. Seir kind of energetically relays to you the pieces of information he's learned from Lu Hua, the fact that they're the Forge Master's apprentice, that 200 years old is considered young and new, that Lu Hua means forge flower. They were born out of the Forge Master's hammer, and Seir's interest in the mystery behind the Forge Master themselves. He relays all to you, Xainan. And I think as we arrive at the threshold of the White Forge, he just goes, Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's wow. And Xainan's a little winded. He trains a lot, but this was a big hike. And so he listened, partly because he couldn't talk for part of the way up.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah. Absolutely. And Seir bounds forward, and now that we're safer,
The rope
yeah,
he pulls him
he pulls you. Actually, that's funnier. He pulls you, and he takes a look at this entire space and notices the furnace still licking up in its glory, and he just goes, "The fires are still fine. This is not an ordinary forge. Then it can survive even without its keepers here. Fascinating." He's so excited. So you're surrounded by, I'm assuming, weapons. Are there weapons about this place?
So many. So many weapons. It's a massive workspace. Like this is not a small, like, local blacksmith's workshop. It's huge. It's massive. It's like a huge mountain cavern. And there's a river in it that flows out from, like, a deeper within. It flows out and then gushes out through the side of the mountain, forming a waterfall that pounds for hundreds of feet down all the way to the Black River. And there's, like, the workspace is separated into two halves by this river.
I think Xainan looks at all of it, and I choose to believe that he's suddenly fine. Because he wants to go and touch all of the weapons. Yeah, and he's, like, pulling at the rope, but then forgets that and starts to, like, go to the wall. And I think he sees, a Dao blade or something, and he walks up to it.
Oh,
and...
yeah. All kinds of weapons. Anything your mind can imagine, it's here.
It's like Wu Yin's armory.
Yeah. This is incredible.
But, and I think as he, like, takes a look, like, Seir takes a look around, they pan their gaze everywhere. The horror and frightening elements of the ambush far away in their mind. He looks upon this space and just goes, I forgot to mention something, actually.
What?
The Forge Master, they were running away during the ambush. They grabbed, everyone else was fighting, they grabbed Lu Hua and stormed away.
Wasn't just concern?
It might just be that. Forge Master looked formidable, I mean, formidable hands craft all these weapons.
But if they wanted to keep Lu Hua safe, formidable or not, running away sometimes the answer.
Seir logs that into his brain. Kind of like
and Xainan
you do with us.
means it. It's just something you learn when you work to survive. Not every fight's winnable.
But you're always there, right?
Because I know when to leave.
Seir sits with that heaviness of the word leave and attempts to distract himself with investigating. Connie, I want to take a look at this place. I would like to employ a
Sounds
booth and
good.
take a look at this place.
Would you like to
Yeah.
investigate a new location?
Yes, I would like to investigate a new location while that
Excellent.
word sits in my head. Xainan.
Lovely. How do you search for clues in the White Forge?
I think as soon as Seir hears the word leave kind of fall out of Xainan's mouth, he goes back to that moment where he's at that podium and he felt his knees give way, and even right now his knees do give way. They buckle, and he disguises that by crouching to look better on the ground. Are there things that have fallen? He's looking for activity around here. I think he's specifically looking for if there's anything, because everything seems so organized. He's looking for the sign of when everything went to hell and how
Sure, like
these
when the
two
mist
reacted.
thickened. Okay,
Mhm.
sounds good. So roll 2d6 plus tags.
Sure, I think I will invoke the tag the chosen one, because he is
Okay.
investigating this just like Sing would. How to hunt,
Mhm.
and that's about it.
Sounds good. Roll 2d6 plus 2. Oh no.
Hey,
4.
why? I thought you fixed this.
You got
Fix your
smacked.
dice.
Apparently not.
Oh
4.
my
I thought you
God.
did a cleanse, Val.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought I did. I thought I did. You know what? The Doom dice just don't want to talk to me.
They're
That's
your
fine.
doom dice? Okay.
That's what you've
well,
been rolling this whole time.
you deserve that. See?
You do. You do every
Okay.
bit.
Seir, on a 6- on a miss, pick one of your themes. The GM will describe how it rages, weeps, or dissociates in response to a detail in the scene. And then you suffer or worsen a status of my choice.
It has to be the chosen one's shadow, right? A mentor and mentee in the forge of a mentor of mentee. Except, where the forge master was there, Xainan, you weren't, were you?
Yep, Seir. As you buckle, get onto your knees, examine the area around you, you see nothing but signs of closeness, signs of trust. 2 pairs of aprons hanging side by side, 2 pairs of gloves placed on the same workbench, 2 pairs of everything next to each other. One pair is definitely a lot bigger than the other, but they're always close together, and there is always trust. There's a closeness between Lu Hua and Shrijiang that, yes, feels familial, feels parental. Your eye twitches toward Xainan. And this well-kept forge, that's right. In a forge, you expect things to be messy. There's soot, there's dust. That's normal, right? It's messy work, but it is very well kept. You see a broom, a mop, a bucket, and a dustpan in equal view as the regular tools in this space. Shrijiang runs a tight ship, and not just that, but Lu Hua doesn't obey, but is respectful of it and takes care of the space as they have been asked, as they want to do. This place looks loved, looked after. And the most loved aspect of this place is the diamond furnace itself. You see signs of vulnerability, closeness, intimacy, trust, and love that you're trying to get from Xainan, but it's not quite there. And you think of the empty spaces in the crowd during Sing's funeral. Of you, up on the stage, up at that podium, 2 different sets of speeches in front of you. Your bravery wavering in your throat, looking out at the crowd. What were you searching for, Seir, as you were to give a eulogy for Sing?
He looks at the 2 speeches in his hand. The one he wrote from deep within his heart. The handwriting is shaky and frighteningly juvenile, just scratching upon paper of desperation. And the other, neatly, not even written, typed out, well-formatted, justified paragraph speeches, not written by him. Written by his therapist, Dr. Wong, in the event that something like this did happen when he stood up on that podium and froze. He was looking for Nova. For Lumièra to look at him and give him that reassuring glance she always had whenever he was about to attempt the impossible. For Xainan's shadowed robes to weave through the crowd as he imagined Xainan would maybe creep closer to the podium, just to let him know he was there. But they weren't there, were they? And Seir shoves that page, that handwritten, heartfelt, grieving letter away and puts on the mask for the first time.
Seir, I need you to take the status Heartbroken 2.
Just gonna pop those 2 in there. And Seir, as his face is panned towards those beautiful flames in that forge, you were gone for a while. You were gone for a bit. After the Wild Sea, you've spent all this time on our journey up here asking how I was. I didn't ask how you were.
When Seir starts to speak to Xainan, Xainan has walked closer to the forge, and the light of the flame mixes in with the glow of his markings, his new markings, the ones that he hasn't talked about. In fact, he never talks about anything. That's the problem. And he stops a little short, finally sheathes that blade. The blade that Artemis carried for 2 months. The blade. He sheathes himself and he turns and looks at Seir. I got a little lost. That's all.
Yeah, no, completely get it. That makes a lot of sense. Lumièra and you both weren't, you both missed her day. And I've been thinking that it was a pretty big day to miss. I was there. Fate was there. I didn't expect her to be there. Magic was there. We made up 3 speeches.
Yeah.
And I just been
Seir.
thinking.
I didn't mean to.
Mean to what?
And I think maybe for the first time, Seir sees Xainan's mask fall off. His breath shakes. His hand clenches. And not clumsily like Seir's been replacing his mask. Like it is bolted in place normally. It goes back up almost instantly. I got lost. Didn't have a sense of time just like they don't in the other city of mist. I didn't mean to miss it.
And Seir softens at looking at his hero buckle. That vulnerability, that's what made him confess everything to you the first time. But if Seir breaks here, everything breaks.
I am sorry.
No. It's okay.
It's not actually. I know it's not the same, but with LSSG, one of the things you learn very quickly is there's a lot of things you can't take back. Moments you can't have back. And I took that from you. Not on purpose.
And there's a flash in Seir's eyes. You know it, Xainan. It is the flash of something fiery. Of a whip of fire, the same that he granted to you that one night we fought in the Wild Sea. It bubbles there, it waits there to say truthfully what he felt about that.
Xainan's eyes paint him a target. He just needs permission. He just needs to be told he was wrong, be wrong. But he can talk his way out of anything.
But you're her hero. But she loved you so. loved you with the love of a parent, Seir knows too well. It's a hole in both his and her life. She loved you. How could he do that to you? Her father. In every word, but spoken. Your right, not legalized, not made legible or notarized, but your right nonetheless. You can't be that target for him. No. His grief is his own. His suffering is his own. No, I didn't mean to make it sound like an accusation or anything. Maybe you'd like to hear what happened sometime. Maybe I could tell you what Wian's speeches were like, or Fate made a speech. I never heard her speak for so long, and I made a speech too. I can tell you what I said. I put all of Nova's well wishes into it for all of us, of course.
Mercy is worse. Xainan takes it. He listens. He offers a smile. Because mercy is her answer. He knows the fire inside. He knows that Blaze, the hunter he set loose on the wild sea. Mercy is much worse. And he owes her, that voice talking out of you. I would very much so like to hear all that.
And Seir sits upon the ledge of a workbench, puts his feet up onto maybe a stool or something nearby, and in a voice not his own, a smile not his own, he recites every moment on her day.
Lumièra.
I'm actually logging out now. I'm going home. I'm not even having fun anymore now. I'm just kidding.
Jesus, no, if you're listening to this on the podcast, our faces, go watch the VOD, because Sam and my faces during that scene.
We're just screaming.
I love you.
Oh.
Check
Oh my
in.
God.
Are y'all doing good? Are y'all okay?
Check in, yeah. Are we good?
Yeah, good.
I'm
Yeah,
golden.
I'm
I
great.
love you
I'm
so
excellent.
much.
All right.
I don't even need a plot. I can just let you guys go at each other. Okay. Lumièra. The interior of the Vermilion Library is no less grand than its divine facade. A huge arched ceiling stretches high above multiple floors, with banisters overlooking a central circulation area. Silk paintings hang from gilded walls depicting breathtaking landscapes of trees, mountains, rivers, oceans. Sculptures stand on dark wooden plinths bearing carvings of jade, red coral, enamel, ivory, wood. In the middle of the atrium, floating high above the circulation desk, is what you saw from the outside, but now in breathtaking detail. An intricate, massive, three-dimensional paper carving of a bright red phoenix.
Oh. Wow.
Beautiful, right?
I don't even have words.
I can understand why this is one of the Emperor's favorite places to visit.
Look at it. Why wouldn't it be? And Lumièra, walks over to one of the statues that are made of jade or ruby or garnet and just hesitantly places her hand across it, not fully touching it all the way, but her fingertips grazing it just enough that she can get a feel for it.
There's lingering warmth on the surface of this bright green jade, as though perhaps before the mist took everyone, there was a magic that empowered the sculptures here, made them breathe.
Wow. All right. We have work to do. Lumièra kind of like shakes herself out a bit, trying to get herself back into the zone before that same determined gaze falls across her face again. There's a few things that I would like to see that are here. I want to read whatever I can find on the devouring, if there is any. I would like to study to see what possible different powers are at work here. I know there are different... This is the city of gods. This is heaven. There's multitudes of magic that are happening and are converging here at this point. I want to know what's here to the best of my ability. What's here, what is converging. There's anything that I know, there are sometimes two different types of... And she gets ready to say calling before she stops herself. If I know anything, there are multiple different types of magic that don't pair well together.
Oh, yes. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. There are so many gods, both presently and in our history, and I'm sure in our future as well. Hopefully there will be a future. But yes, there are all kinds of sections scattered across these 8 buildings. There are romances and epics, histories, essays and research, and general references. Based on what you're saying, it sounds like we should probably head into the non-fiction areas of the library.
I would agree.
Yes. Oh dear. Well, it does look like the circulation agents were a bit understaffed on the day of the proclamation, and Xiaocheng is looking at the main desk, beneath which this huge paper cutout of the phoenix is floating, and you see it's overrun with papers. Like, whoever was manning the desk was really struggling to sort mail before everyone was taken away. And you notice that these are all the same kind of letter, though written from like dozens of different people. It's love letters.
Love letters.
Do you pick some up?
Yeah, like Lumièra kind of like rifles through a couple of them just for a second.
Sure. Every single one of them is written in a different hand. You recognize the calligraphy is completely different kinds of parchment, different kinds of paper, different kinds of styles, but they are all addressed to the same person. Yan Zhiling, the gentlewoman scholar.
Okay, and...
Oh, dear. She gets many of these on a daily basis. Usually they're a lot more on top of sorting these out. It makes sense that there are a lot of last-minute proclamations of love in the event that she were chosen to be Emperor's Virtue.
Lumièra just stacks up collects all the papers together and stacks them neatly, places them on the side of the desk.
Okay. You also notice, as you're organizing them and just stacking them and putting them on the desk, that not all of them are perfumed and pink and sweet and floral. There are a couple of them that look, for lack of a better term, pissed the fuck off.
Those I read.
You start to open some of the darker, more solid, more gravitas-stricken letters, and they are missives of heartbreak. And you're starting, as you're like
Aw.
going through them, it's like you're starting to get a picture painted of Zhiling kind of being a playboy. Like, she doesn't really stay with more than one person a night. And as you move to pick up another letter that seems to be written in a similar tone, Xiaocheng reaches out and actually grabs your wrist. Not hard, but like in an urgent way. I wouldn't pick that one up. There seem to be lingering traces of a love curse placed on it.
Lumièra. Lumièra looks at Zhao Cheng when they grab her arm, as in a "did you just touch me?" type of way for a second, before going, "Okay, thank you."
You are very welcome. And Xiaocheng releases your wrist very amicably. They twist their hand, and that cursed letter rises up. It's written on like black paper with like white ink. You know what I mean? That's like running, and there's holes punched through the letter from how like desperately angry the person was when they wrote it. They twist their hand, and the paper curls up, and there's a orange aura that balloons around it, and then vanishes as Xiaocheng whisks it away somewhere. Yes. Well, I'm glad you didn't read that one. The curse on that one was, when you talk to someone you love, your tongue turns into a snake. Fun.
Fun. Lumièra
yes, it's
kind
one
of
of
like
the funner
repeats
ones.
back.
Drilling gets some rather intense love curses as well from scorned. Not partners. She doesn't really. That's not really what she does. Scorned one-night stands?
You know, some people get blinded when they see something that they really want and think that they could be the ones to make things different. Well, you are not. Different, that is. Some people don't learn that until they learn it the hard way. People show you what they want you to know on the surface. I've had my own run-ins with the gentlewoman scholar, and she is nothing but upfront and honest. So, if there are people that she beds that do not heed that warning, their heartbreak is all their own. The difference between me and them is I know what I get myself into before I step into it every time.
Very wisely spoken. Does seem the two of you are compatible in that case. Well, nonfiction, yes?
Correct. Nonfiction. I would actually like to do two things in here, Connie.
Okay.
If at all possible. I would like to
Absolutely.
investigate a new
Location?
I would like to
Yes.
investigate a new location. But I would also like to take advantage of Brood. Just a little bit.
Ooh.
Just a
Yes,
little bit.
okay.
Once I get some information, that will be after I investigate. I want to brood after I investigate and build from there.
Sounds good. Before you even investigate, Xiaocheng, they start to lead you off to the nonfiction area, but then they pause and wait patiently as you take a minute to take in the atrium and the library as a whole. And it strikes you that Xiaocheng, it seemed at first like they had offhandedly, on a whim, just pointed out the letters to you. But now it's dawning on you that they did that on purpose, almost as a way to warn you about Zhiling, to give you fair heads up about what the Gentlewoman Scholar is all about, so you wouldn't get hurt. And now hearing what you have said to them about your own intentions and how you're okay with all of this, right, and how you are aware, you're not going in with your eyes shut, they seem to relax a little and smile. And
Nothing
it's this
can
kind
hurt
of
me more than I'm already hurting myself. So,
do you say that out loud?
no, I'm saying that in general. Like, yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, Yeah, I'm like, little do they know.
Yeah, very fair, very fair. And they seem to be just wanting to equip you with all the information possible up front, right? So you're making informed decisions. And again, it strikes you how insightful they are, how perceptive their appeasement behaviors, right? They're trying to make sure no one is ever in conflict with each other by just telling everyone everything, but in a way that doesn't offend anyone, right? So, Lumièra, when you investigate a new location, how are you searching for clues? You're muted.
Oh crap, I was muted that whole time, my bad. Yeah, I am doing the typical like library finger scan. Like I'm going in, like I just went to D for devouring, and I'm just like skimming across, like just looking for anything along the lines of devouring, magic that is harnessed and cultivated here. I'm absolutely ignoring you, Connie, while I'm trying to think about this. I'm looking for, more specifically, I'm looking for, in finding the different types of magic that also exist here. I would like to know what it looks like, or essentially like a summarization in a sense, like seeing, like, I don't know how to describe it, but I want to compare, and like I want to see what these two presentations of magic do when they're bouncing off of each other, and if there's anything that's remotely close to what we're experiencing here as an effect of that magic bouncing off of each other. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. So about the relationships between magic and any like reactions that might occur from collision.
Correct.
Okay, so roll 2d6 plus tags. And let's say this will be a general investigation for this building as a whole, /
Cool.
the library as a whole.
I'm gonna use diagnoses.
Excellent.
And I also think I want to use stabilizer too.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want to see, I think Lumièra is trying to discertain what exactly is happening, and if there is any type of reaction or something that she can do that would negate said problem, said reaction.
Sure. Okay, yes, that makes sense. You're coming at it from like a diagnostic, medical, like, let's heal this rift if there is a rift that's being occurred.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, that makes sense. So roll 2d6 plus 2.
Okay. Nine.
Okay, that's a mixed success. That's pretty good. So on a 7 to 9, the GM will describe the area's general ambiance and any prominent features that your trained senses notice. So, first of all, in terms of just the books as a whole, you're able to identify the major categories, and you are sure, along with Xiaocheng's help, that you don't miss anything, right? So like there's no area of the stacks that is hidden that, oh, because you didn't roll high enough, you didn't get, like nothing like that. You're able to comb this place pretty thoroughly. And you grab a bunch of tomes, scrolls, first-hand accounts, and second-hand historical retellings of the Devouring. You grab as many tomes as you can about the mist, about magic, about godhood, about demons, hell, why not, about mortals, about the sister realms, the magic that connects all three of these planes, and any arcane influences that might bump into each other. What you get from a big picture standpoint is very similar to what Zhiling has shared at the council meeting. Essentially, that the mist is a magical, metaphysical, half real, half metaphorical, poetic and lived, embodied and felt force. It is basically the magic that binds the sister realms together and flows through them. There's some scholarship and literature that says gods who were not ascended, who weren't mortal in the first place, were birthed from the mist. Like, that's the place where gods go to. That's the place where gods belong. And prominent features, let's say you also catch some interesting specifics that all the gods of the City of Heaven would already be aware of, which is why Julian didn't just state it during the council meeting. It's that the mist has another name, an ancient name during the time of the Devouring. It's not really called this anymore. It was also known as the River. Like a river flowing between all three realms, binding them together.
Ooh.
You also notice something really interesting about the Devouring is kind of what Drooling had hinted at during her lore dump. The mist was really thick during the Devouring as well, and the descriptions of the thickness of the mist from poems, from firsthand like primary documents, and from people like oral history now written down seems to be fairly similar to what's happening in the other city, in the City of Mist. Like when the Devouring was at its apex, in places of battle that were especially war-torn, you couldn't see more than 3 bu ahead of yourself. And there was a sense of danger and dread and panic that was everywhere, violence and bloodshed. You also find an interesting account that seems to be disputed. There's a lot of footnotes on this primary document, let's say from various scholars, right, that claims, and you have a feeling this was maybe the document Drooling was talking about, that the mist is where gods go after they die. And it's a primary document. It seems to be like a wall rubbing, essentially, like someone did charcoal over a piece of like stone of like an ancient inscription on like the side of a mountain somewhere. And it seems to be labeled the highest peak of the City of Heaven is where this rubbing was taken. And the inscription claims that, yes, the mist is the place where gods go after they die, and it's both the birthplace of the gods, so it's kind of from mist to mist for divine beings. That's their lifespan. And there are some, like, dialogue in the footnotes with each other from various scholars. One thing pings to you. A scholar that almost seems to suggest a theory that no one else in this footnotes dialogue picks up on, but you pick up on, that says, essentially suggesting, are we gods not called to the mist when our time is up? What is the price of resisting the call? What is the price of heeding it? But no one else picks up on it in this, like, back and forth scholarly research.
What is it like to resist the call? What is it like to resist the call? And I think Lumièra repeats that line, like reading it over and over again. Her brain is trying to make connections that the practical side of her knows you still don't have enough information to connect these dots together, but she's still trying to navigate her thoughts through these landmines of new information that are being thrown and are implanted in the ground around her feet as she moves. What? Yosheng, quick question.
Yes, of course.
What do you think of the mist, personally?
The mist? Well, the mist has always been there. It's as much a fixture as the gods are in the City of Heaven, in the Sister Realms. It's where magic comes from. It's the realm of dreams, the realm of nightmares and hope, the realm of light and darkness.
The mist kind of works like your weave, to an extent. Do you know of anyone who has ever resisted their call? You said the mist is where your powers come from, where we're born, and based off of what I'm reading here, it's also where the gods go when they are gone from mist to mist.
Yes, well, that's what some scholars say, yes. I've never lived long enough yet. I'm still fairly young, I suppose, as a god, to hear the call of the mist, though I hear some rumors that when gods are reaching the end of, well, our time here, I suppose. Well, you know, we are immortal, right? That's the whole point of cultivation. We cultivate it ourselves, our souls, until we attain immortality. That's what it means to be a god in the Sister Realms. But when you're immortal, what does it mean to die, aside from when you are killed? What does it mean to have a natural lifespan? Do you just keep on going until forever? But there are some scholars that believe that the mist calls us when it is time. When we've done what we have needed to do here in the Sister Realms, and it's time for us to move on toward salvation.
But you yourself have never come across anyone who has specifically denied it.
Oh no, I've never even come across anyone who has felt it. It's a thought exercise.
Salvation, you say?
Yes. And, oh my, we've spent a lot of time here, haven't we? Oh, it's getting dark. And Lumièra...
I'm sorry, is that a problem?
Yes, it is. Because as day turns onward toward night, the mist descends once more. And just like last time, it creeps up on you, all three of you, thickening second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, until it's so dense you can hardly see your own feet at the bottom of your legs. It's happening again. You are starting to lose yourselves, your mind turning toward thoughtless hazes, physical reality bleeding into a bleary, dreamlike state. Seir and Xainan, it's at the end of Seir's tale that the mist starts to roll into the White Forge, rise up like a river, a white fog, consuming your thoughts, and Lumièra. Through this mist, both real and subconscious, you see Xiaocheng by your side at a desk with books and scrolls poured out all around you. They're looking at you rather desperately, their eyes wide. The mist is starting to separate the two of you. It is thickening, it is condensing until Xiaocheng is nothing more than a shadowy silhouette, those bright orange eyes covered by this fog. But then they reach out a hand, a desperate, hopeful hand toward you.
It.
You hear their voice. Yes, you grab their hand and their voice comes to you, calling at you, shouting at you. They're no more than 2 bu away from you, and yet it sounds like they're shouting from the bottom of a well, echoing up towards your consciousness, their fingers slipping against your fingers. Lumièra, please take me with you. I want to go to the City of Mist as well. I need to help you. I need to help the Emperor.
I
Hold
try
on
to
me.
grab with both of my hands, trying to pull them.
You grab onto one hand, it's solid, you reach out your other arm, and as you try to grab onto their wrist, their forearm, their elbow, anything, any purchase, your hands clasp against nothingness. The mist comes in, Xiaocheng is gone.
Fuck!
Seir and Xainan. The mist obscures everything around you. The guttering red coals of the diamond furnace, the heat radiating off the iron, even your own hands, an arm's length away from your bodies, your minds, your souls. All of it starts to feel very, very bleary, very far away from you, and then, just like last night, you are taken. All three of you are taken, and when the mist thins and your mind starts to return to your body, and your body to your soul, and your soul to your mind, you find yourselves in roughly the same locations as before, but transported a little to the east, a little to the west, a little bit north, a little bit south. Seir and Xainan, you have been placed at the entrance of the White Forge again, high above the terraces that wind in narrow switchbacks up and down the mountainside. And just like last time you were transported, you are no longer alone. There are gods here. gods on the terraces procuring gem from rock, gods at the very bottom of the mountain in that merchant square selling weapons and armor and jewelry, gods inside the White Forge, several dozen feet away from you on one side of this river. 2 gods, to be exact. Lu Hua, the Forge Master's apprentice, and the Forge Master herself. And they are arguing. Lumièra, behind you, you hear hushed voices, the flipping pages of books, the scurrying of feet over laminated hardwood. The Vermilion Library is bustling with life, with sound all around you, but Xiaocheng is nowhere to be seen. And in front of you, instead of a series of stacks and bookshelves in the study area you've moved all of your tomes toward, you instead find yourself standing directly outside the Gentlewoman Scholar's private office on the 4th floor. The door is shut. You can sense activity beyond the threshold. There's muffled sound. You see shadows playing across the light that leaks through the cracks of this closed door. And then footsteps approach the threshold as though sensing your presence. The door slides open horizontally, and you find yourself face to face with Yan Zhiling. And she's smiling. Ah, there you are. I was starting to think you'd stood me up. And we're gonna end the session there.
I was gonna add on to that, but if you want to end the session right there, we can end the session right there, Connie.
I think for the sake of our rating, for the sake of the stream's rating, we should probably end the session right there. So thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of the Chaos Protocol. I have been your game master and creative producer, Connie Chong, pronounced they, he, and she. You can find me across the internet at by Connie Chong, namely Twitter and TikTok. I'm going to pass introductions along to Valiant Love Wins, Dorian.
Hello, everybody. My name is Valiant Lovewins Dorian. I use he, his pronouns. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure I just set you on. And tonight, I had the distinct pleasure of playing Seir, who uses he, they pronouns and is making peace with things just like she would. I'm going to pass introductions over to Kai.
I am also making peace with things. No. Hi, everyone. I'm Kai. I use he, they, and she pronouns. You can find me everywhere as Estelle of Imladris. And I just had a howdy good old time. Just light fare today as Mr. Xainan-ish. And Sam, don't have too much fun before you outro yourself.
Too late. All right. Hey, y'all. I'm Sam Star. You can catch me all across the interwebs at Lust for Life. That's LUSTTFORLIFEEX. Playing Lumièra, who is rightfully about to get her whore era. So
we have a new pussy champ rising to the call.
Bring it to me. All the pussy.
Transplanar RPG, everybody.
That's us.
Clip that.
I have been your game master and creative producer. A massive thank you to everyone who donated and showed up in chat. We have hit $1,200. That is incredible. Thank you all so much for your generosity for the community here. I love the Transplanar community. You all are the absolute freaking best of the AP space, in my humble and unbiased onion. This means so much to all of us. This is not going to be the end of our continued efforts to support oppressed peoples of the world fighting against imperialism, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and colonization. So free Palestine, free all of the oppressed peoples and countries of the world. We stand in solidarity with resistance struggles everywhere. So thank you all so much for the donations. We will be posting receipts on our Discord server and elsewhere as well, as I'm sure, of the donations going toward Care for Gaza. Thank you all. We will see you next week. That is going to be Saturday, March. That's a new month. Saturday, March 2nd at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time for the continuation of this lovely tale. If you enjoy what you see here, join our Discord server. You can use !Discord and pledge to our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. That's like a coffee a month. You can support what we're doing here, and it really helps. Our Patreon is like ground zero for helping us. But yes, we love you all so much. We will see you next week on the 2nd at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. And Bisho. Oh, wait! We are going to raid... Excellent. Did they hear you? Or should I say that? Okay, cool. I got like a little note in my earpiece. We're sticking around for the raid on Twitch, so don't go just yet. We're going to be raiding Sephi Persephoroth, who's also raising funds for Palestine. So let's keep the love train going. Let's keep this resistance train going. And tell Sephi all about our stream and go help her out, check her out, and follow her because she's awesome as well. We love you all so much. Stick around for the raid. Use the raid message in chat. Join the Discord. Join the Patreon. Bisho.